Hola a todos! This is a very requested video about the reading and listening summary questions in A-level Spanish. I'm going to be explaining how to get top marks in these questions and going through some examples from past papers. I do have another video that is more generally about paper 1 coming soon, so subscribe to see that. I'm going to begin by running through the basics as I always do. These are 12 marks in AQA paper 1 and there's 2 of them, 1 in the listening section and 1 in the reading section. 7 marks are for content and 5 for language. Now I'm going to talk about what the examiners advise. This is from the examiner's report, and it's basically the same every year. It's the generic advice for summary questions. I wasn't actually aware that the examiners had this advice on the examiner reports, but now that I know, let's use it to our advantage. I'm going to read through this sentence by sentence and highlight key things or perhaps misconceptions that I or other students may have. Students should first read the task on the question paper carefully, so they know what the item is about. So step 1, read the question. They should listen to or read the stimulus material in its entirety, identifying which sections of the stimulus material correspond to each of the 3 bullet points. So step 2, read or listen to the entire text. They should then listen to or read the stimulus material a second time, pausing as necessary to make notes on each bullet point. Students should look at the number of marks available for each bullet point and ensure they identify sufficient pieces of information. So step 3, make rough notes on the answers. Once they have noted the key information, students should look again at the wording of the bullet points and write their answer on the question paper in such a way as to answer the bullet points directly. This will normally require some manipulation of linguistic structures, such as changing from direct to indirect speech or changing from a subordinate clause to a main clause. However, it is not necessary to find synonyms for individual words or phrases. Step 4 is turn those rough notes into a polished answer. And a misconception which I wasn't sure about myself is if you need to use synonyms in your answer, and it clearly says that you do not. It is a bit misleading when they write use your own words where possible in the instructions for these questions, but that is in fact not true. You just need to manipulate the language for it to make sense when you write it in the third person. Students should count their words and ensure that they stay within the word limit. Anything they write after the first natural break between 90 and 100 words will not be marked. Students should therefore avoid writing an introductory sentence or paragraph, as this would be likely to use up words without scoring marks. They should omit points of detail or examples unless these are specifically targeted by the bullet points. That last sentence is really important. You don't need to copy down full sentences, just the bits that answer the bullet points. Now let's look at some actual examples and put these steps that the examiners give us into use. This is from June 2018 paper 1. I've put the transcript on the left. So, following the steps from the examiner report, let's do this question together. First, let's read the question. Escribe un párrafo en español resumiendo lo que has entendido. No debes usar más de 90 palabras y debes incluir los siguientes puntos en tu resumen. Okay, that bit is the same for every summary question. Incluye sus sentimientos al ser Miss Mundo, dos detalles, so her feeling upon becoming Miss World, and we need 2 details. Sus recuerdos del concurso, 3 detalles. Her memories from the competition, 3 details. Los estereotipos que la gente asocia con ella, 2 detalles. And the stereotypes that people associate with her, 2 details. So that's the 7 marks for content. Hay 5 puntos adicionales por la calidad de tu español escrito. Escribe usando frases completas y, en la medida de lo posible, debes usar tus propias palabras. You don't need your own words, but you do need full sentences. Okay, let's do step 2 now, listening to the text, but in this case I'll just read it. I'll skip through me reading it, but you should pause the video and read it yourself. Okay, reading done. Let's now reread it and make rough notes on the answers for the bullet points. I'll time-lapse through this bit, but I highly recommend you have a go with this question too. I've highlighted where the answers are roughly. I'm not sure if it's correct. For example, in the first one, do you need the reason or is me siento feliz enough to get the mark? I don't know. I guess we will find out together. And our final step is making this a full answer. That's my full answer done. Hopefully you have answered this question too. Let's see how many marks I would get for this. This is the mark scheme on the left. I've gone ahead and marked my work. So I would get both marks for the first bullet point. I don't think I would get all 3 marks for the second one. It says accept any positive comment about her team. También recuerda el gran equipo que trabajó con ella isn't necessarily positive. I would have been better off saying cuando dijeron su nombre no se lo esperaba. And last bullet point, I'll get both marks. So that's 6 out of 7 for content. And as far as I know, all my language produced is accurate and I'm able to manipulate complex language accurately. So I think I'll get 5 out of 5 for language. So 11 out of 12 in total. Let's now look at the examiner report specifically for this question, and then we'll discuss general tips for the listening summary. Firstly, I think it's important to note that the average mark for this question was 8.5. That seems quite good, I think. It says one mistake from students is writing too much for the earlier bullet points. And again, you don't need synonyms. They're just looking out for your ability to change stuff like me siento to se siente. Later it says students were not precise enough in their answers. The best students were able to change the first person to third with ease. And if you're not sure how to do that with certain verbs, you can use a workaround. For example, saying no es inteligente instead of le falta inteligencia. So on the whole, I think we have found that these 4 steps are what you should follow in these questions. The answers are usually always in chronological order, so break the text up for the 3 bullet points. I'm now quickly going to talk about the reading summary, but there are many similarities between them. Now I'm going to do a reading summary question. I'm not going to go through it as slowly as I did for the listening one, so if you do want to attempt this question, which is from the 2019 paper, you're more than welcome to do so. I'm going to fully time-lapse through me doing the same 4 steps to answer this question, and I'll see you once I've marked my work. Vale, for the first bullet point, I got all 3 marks. For the second one, I again got 3 marks. But for the last bullet point, I lost that mark. If you were paying attention in the time lapse, I was doubting what to put for that one. In the bullet point, it said the main reason, and in the text it said la causa principal, so I knew it was a trick somewhere. So I lost a mark there, so that's 6 out of 7 for content. And again, I'm going to give myself 5 out of 5 for grammar. I believe the future tense verbs for the second bullet point are all correct. That's it for this video. If you followed these 4 steps, you will be okay. If you have any questions or anything to add, leave a comment below. And I'll be making more A-level Spanish videos to help me revise, so subscribe to see those. Adios!